What's up, guys? I'm just here as
Hello,
a
hello.
passive listener today, trying to get some alpha on fleet optimization going into labs. So I'm in the same boat as you.
So we get alpha on that? That's nice, because I wonder, like, do I need a transport ship or not? That's a very interesting topic.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we'll be going into that level of detail, but I can tell you guys the current decision trees and strategy formation that's going to take place engaging in labs is going to be impressive. Super excited about it. Santi, I tried to sneak
you
in.
missed the alpha.
Oh my god, we have swag in here?
No way.
But people called me out immediately. I thought I could just kind of like hide in the back row, but they
You're
saw
a
me.
big fan of the Atlas Brew now, huh? This is 2 weeks in a row.
Don't get ahead of yourself. We'll see how this one goes, and I may or may not be back for the next one.
Process, we'll see how this one goes. Episode number 74. Yeah. Nah, but yeah, it's good to have you, Swag.
Yeah,
I
good to be
like
here.
that you're keeping a low profile.
Trying.
Michael, he's not supposed to be here.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to keep rein on Chris. Because I know he wants to overshare today. I'm pretty sure. So.
Which is a good thing, yeah.
Which is a great thing.
I was told that this was a private event that Michael was not invited to, and I could say whatever I wanted.
I mean, he wasn't invited.
I'm a little taken aback.
Hey man,
try to stay focused.
If anyone gets to leak all of the latest, it's me. All right, I don't want anybody stepping over into my territory of chief leak officer.
That's fair.
If you're about to leak something, he will stop you and leak it himself.
I know you're about to leak something, but I got the greatest leak of all time.
Yeah, it is what it is. But yeah, we have a code for Nerd Alone for this one, guys. I know people have been asking for more Nerd Alone XP, so we have it. We're not gonna share it yet, but we have it, just so everyone knows. But we have a couple more things as well. I think it's a good moment to get started. 1 minute in. So welcome everyone to the Atlas Brew number 74. Today we will be speaking about Sage Labs and more specifically about the Sage Labs economy and how that will work. So we're probably going to learn a lot today. So I hope everyone has the notebooks, the pen, ready to write it down, everything that Chris will be sharing. And of course, we'll have Chris as a guest. Chris, how are you?
Doing pretty well. I have to say, I'm very excited about Sage Labs. Been running a lot of simulations, doing a lot of kind of like testing, and it's gonna be a lot of fun.
That is very cool. That is very cool. Well, people are looking forward to hearing what you have for us for sure. But first, we will be doing some news. We'll be covering some overall news and giving some committee members shout outs as well for things they have been working on. But before that, I want to introduce Jose and Dom. Dom, how are you, my friend?
Ooh, starting with me today. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm doing pretty good. Talking about Sage Labs economics today with Chris. I'm actually, I know I get made fun of for saying, "Oh, this is super exciting" every time, but actually, I'm really excited. It's gonna be a good one today. It's just more economy activation, which is what I'm really excited for with Sage Labs. So it's gonna be a good time listening to Chris asking some questions, and I hope everyone's having a good day. I'm ready.
Yeah. It's I think you're safe to say this is going to be an exciting one for sure. For sure. I think you're safe on that. Even though people are probably going to make fun of you out there, but it is what it is.
It is what it is.
And I see someone mustache saying best brew ever. So Chris, the pressure is on. Best brew ever.
Yeah, I don't want to get cocky, but they throw that word around a lot when I come on. So
Wow!
Whoa!
Did not expect that reaction. Jesus,
I gotta respect that one.
Yeah. Gotta respect that.
Imagine.
You know what that means, guys? That means alpha. That probably means a lot of alpha. So yeah, yeah.
All right, guys, let's get
Absolutely.
this show on the road. Speed things up a little bit.
Oh
Oh,
wow!
hell
Someone
no.
kick Mike
Can
in the
someone
channel.
ban this
This is
guy?
the brew man. You are a
Can someone
guest
All
ban
right,
here.
this guy, man?
literally last comment. Last comment. I'm in the background now.
Yeah, yeah. You have to be in the background, man. You have to stay quiet, you know. If we want to work like that, it has to be like that. But yeah, let me introduce Jose as well. Jose, how are you, man?
Man, super excited. This is a very special episode of the brew for me. You guys know that I love economics as well. So I'll be sure to ask everything that I can to Chris so we get all the alphas. And yeah, I'm super excited. Let's start this.
Yeah, opening the alpha gates as always with Jose. So, guys, if you want to follow the conversation, we are always reading the chat, which is called the Atlas Brew chat, which is two chats above the voice chat. So make sure to be there, and we are always reading it, so you will be part of the conversation, basically. I think we can get started with some noteworthy news that we have prepared for today. So first, we have some Star Atlas Core updates. We made some major changes to Core. It's all good news for the Core holders. So now you guys will be able to get 3 hardcovers at the end if you collect all the 18 episodes, which include one with sketches and like work in progress by Tim, another one with all the covers, and then the core, the one that was already there as well. So we added 2 extra there, and also you'll be able to get the hardcovers per act as well. So if you collect each act, all the episodes, all 6 episodes on each act, you will be getting that hardcover as well. So there's still time to get into Core, and you can purchase it now on Magic Eden or the Star Atlas Marketplace. Did I miss anything there? Don't just say
I think
Michael
no,
as
I
well.
I think you nailed that. My biggest thing here is just that this allows people who are fresh into the Star Atlas ecosystem, who are new to core, to still be able to actually get something physical without going to secondary. So if someone came in and we're already on, Act 2, Episode 5, they're not gonna be incentivized to actually purchase any of the collectible covers because they can't even, get anything without going to the secondary market. So this just allows new people to come in like maybe the second or third act and still get something physical with origination price. So it's pretty cool. It's benefits for everyone all around. I think it's a great change.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's great. It's great news. And yeah, make sure to get involved. As you know, we delayed the ending of the core sales for just a week because we had this news cooking. We had this cooking. So now you guys can go and purchase the core episode number 7, and you can get it, and you will be able to get the if you purchase from 7 on, you will be able to get 2 act covers, 2 hardcovers for the acts. And of course, you can go back and purchase it since the beginning as well, but that will be from other players. So good luck with that.
One
But
sec.
another thing,
I
yeah,
just see a question. All 18 get 3 books. So yeah, all 18. If you collect one episode cover from all 18 episodes, you get the collector's edition, which comes with the graphic novel. It comes with a book of all the covers, and it comes with like sneak peeks into the art background. So you only get that collector's edition with those 3 books if you collect one episode from all 18. The act one is you need just 6 covers, one cover from each episode for the act, and then all you get is the graphic novel for that act. So I hope that clears things up a little bit.
yeah,
And then I also put a picture.
you also get dinner with Dom as well if you collect all 18 episodes. Wine, candles, everything
And
included.
Dominic.
And Dominic.
Wine, candles,
What
and
else
Dominic.
you need? What else you need?
What else, right?
This just in: core sales go down by 20% because of what you just said.
No way, no way. Yeah. Had the last part. Oh man, we're about to give you a shout out, Puck, man. Come on.
Yeah,
Nah, but
come on,
we
Puck.
have another noteworthy news is that we dropped some Pierce X4 skins. We dropped some updates for the Pierce X4 skins that are out there in the market already. But they are looking sexy. They are looking really good.
Let me link these. Let me link these.
Yeah,
Uh,
those are looking really good. And I don't know,
yeah,
guys, if you're a holder of them, but I am, and I'm happy with how they are looking. It's which one is your favorite, Jose?
Man, it's hard to say, but I really like the color blue, so blue Tigo is has a special place in my heart.
Yeah, which one is your favorite, guys, in the chat? I want to see. I want to see which one has the most support. Mine is the nanobite. Mine is the nanobite. I'm gonna be honest. That's OG, you know.
That's OG.
It's
That's certainly OG.
yeah, less supply as well.
Oh
yeah.
wow,
Sorry,
I
I'm a.
I personally like the FTX one.
Can we
Oh
get
my
some
god.
stuff?
awesome,
What's going on
man.
in this brew today?
We
Yeah,
should
All
give
right,
him
yeah.
a warning, man.
Can someone mute this guy again? Like,
I'm more of a Chad Blue Tegu OG enjoyer myself. I like the Blue Tegu skin.
the blue Tigu.
Yeah,
Like, you like the score OG status.
yeah, yeah. I mean, you
That's
only
fair.
got it if you were. It was decently hard to get. So
Yeah, yeah. It was. It actually was. But yeah, continuing on the noteworthy news, we wanted to give Puck to Parrot a shout out, even though he stole my arc the first time we played together. It's fine. We still love you, Puck. And even though he came spicy to a town hall as well, now that I remember, he was shooting from the hip live on stage. But we love you still, Puck, and we think that the last video you put out on YouTube is actually very, very cool. And I personally love the concept of like just seeing you speak inside of the ship. Man, that's fantastic.
Yeah,
it's one of my
that's
favorite videos that I've watched recently. I'm not even
Yeah,
gonna lie, because I like to watch everyone's videos, so I clicked on it. I was watching it, and all of a sudden I see Pac bringing up holograms and doing all this stuff, and I'm like, holy shit, what is going on right now? So I mean, I wasn't expecting it. It was really awesome. The video is actually really worth a watch. Definitely go watch it.
yeah, definitely go watch it and subscribe to Puck. It's a fantastic video. Again, like very, very innovative concept. I didn't see anyone doing it before, so we love to see that. We love to see that, Puck, and hopefully more people subscribe to your channel, my friend. Guys, make sure to go and subscribe. We just linked the channel in the Atlas Brew chat, so make sure to go and subscribe, my friends. Then another thing we wanted to mention is Atlas Grace donating the Star Atlas emissions to charity. They donated it. Let me remember the name of the charity. Maybe Dom, you have it closer to you.
variety.
Yeah, it's
Variety.
Variety, the children's charity.
Variety. Yeah. So that is awesome to see. Variety basically helps kids living with disability and disadvantages and illnesses. So we wanted to give some love to Atlas Grace for doing that. And anyone can donate to Atlas Grace. What they do is basically they donate every month at the end of the month. They donate the emissions they get from engaging in all the different Star Atlas programs. So they have Atlas stake, they have Police stake, they have the ships in faction fleet. So they donate. I think it's half they reinvest and they compound, and the other half they donate to charity. So anyone who wants to donate to Atlas Grace, I think it's you can do it via atlasgrace.sol as the wallet, and you can get involved in helping charities with the Star Atlas emissions. So it's one of the best initiatives that we have out there in the community, and it's always good to see that it's having a real impact in the world, you know. So big shout out to Atlas Grace.
Every time I'm thinking the community's a little too degen, I go to the Atlas Grace for a little daily dose of
Good.
wholesomeness.
Yeah, those are good vibes, you know. Good helping people. We love it. But yeah, just a big shout out to Atlas Grace. And our last but not least is Atlas Theory, who has been putting out consistent content out there. We love everything that you do, Atlas Theory, keeping everyone updated on what's going on with Star Atlas. So definitely one of the best content creators that we have out there. And real OG. I mention it every time we speak with him or we mention Atlas Theory, but he was actually, I think, the first person to make a or the second or first person to make a video on the Star Atlas posters, and I was really surprised because at the moment we just had the posters out. I'm talking April 2021, guys, and we just had the posters out, and it was crazy to see someone like just digging Star Atlas and even going as far as creating content. So yeah, it's been an awesome ride so far, my friend. I agree with that. And well, everyone, make sure to go and subscribe to Atlas Theory, guys. And I see Lloyd in the chat, and Lloyd also he posted that he's having triplets. So congratulations, Lloyd.
GG.
I'm not sure how
GG.
you're gonna be able to sleep, my friend. Uh, Lloyd is getting wrecked. They say in the chat. But yeah, congratulations, man.
Yeah, man, it's a true blessing, and the Star Atlas community loves you and supports your family. Everything will work out, friend.
Yeah, yeah. It's triple the love as well, you know. So congratulations, Lloyd.
At about 5 years old, you can put those kids to work in Sage
Yeah.
to kind of help offset some of the expenses.
You
Jesus.
already have the army, you know. You have the guild.
That's, hey, you're 5 years old. It's time for you to start paying for your own food.
That's
Get
probably the
out
most
there.
like evil capitalism thing I've ever said. But
Yeah. No. Oh man, yeah. Lloyd, you will have to start a separate guild, man, with just the Lloyd family, man. Well, congratulations, man. I mean, triplets. It's wild, but yeah, triple the love. You
Hey,
know.
for what it's worth, guys, we still need to work through the industrial age in Star Atlas. So, hey, Chris is not wrong. There's no child labor laws yet.
No way.
Lord have mercy. Yeah, this is what we're doing today.
No, I
All
love
right, let's move on.
I love how he's containing himself from like just saying anything, but he speaks just in those moments, you know, with those things. But yeah, I think we can move on. We can move on. But yeah, that's what we had for noteworthy news. Just checking again. Did I miss anything? Just Dom.
No, I think
Nope, we are
that's
ready.
everything, and I think we should get into the main topic before they kill us.
Yeah. So let's get into the main topic. So we have Sage Labs Economics today with Chris. As you know, guys, Chris is our head of game economy at Star Atlas, and he was down to come here to the brew to help answer some questions and just learn more overall about what Sage Labs is going to be and how it will impact the Star Atlas economy and what is going to be activated and everything. So we'll get into more details now, actually. But first, I don't know who wants to take this one, just in case people don't know. We have new people in the community always, but some people may be wondering what is Sage Labs. So I don't know if Jose or Dom, any of you want to take it.
Yeah, so
Let's start with you.
Sage Labs is basically a limited UI version of Starbased, which is extraction and crafting. If I had to give you like a one sentence or less like explainer of what Sage Labs is, but I mean we have Michael here. Michael, you're a good salesman. Tell me what Sage Labs is, please.
Oh, now you guys need my support. Okay.
Yeah, man, please
Okay.
help out.
Yeah, well, Sage, let's just start with what is Sage. Star Atlas Golden Era, that's the browser-based application, the web front end for all things Star Atlas. I always like to point out here that one of the cool things about the way that we're building our game architecture living on the Solana blockchain means that we actually have the possibility in the future to synchronize activities regardless of the environment you're interacting in. So, you could be on mobile doing something, you can be in the browser-based application doing something, you could be in Unreal Engine doing something, And to the extent that they're all calling on the same gameplay mechanics on chain, you'll actually see that game state replicated and updated across all environments. So this is super cool, and it's because we're leveraging Solana really as the back-end game server and game system to its fullest potential. But Sage itself, again, this browser-based application, it's all WebGL 3D assets, and it's more of a real-time strategy top-down game centered on construction and crafting of star bases and expanding your territory and competing with the other factions and collecting resources, crafting and combat and all of these other systems that'll be coming online in the not too distant future. And so we've taken essentially the concept of Sage Labs with the ongoing development of the 3D environment, and we've simplified that so that we could get the economic activation released to you sooner than later. And so super excited about what we have coming out. This release focuses heavily on that extraction and crafting loop, as Dom mentioned, and so you'll be gathering resources, crafting components, you'll be crafting golden tickets, you'll be engaging in commerce and transactions with other players. And I think this is where it really starts to get into Chris's wheelhouse, talking through some of the optionality. But I think what's really cool about this is because it does use your actual NFTs, you have to enlist those or engage those into the fleet program on Solana. It starts to truly represent the economic value of the assets that you actually possess, those that you own, and your earnings potential is driven largely by those fleets that you do control and you do own. So let me probably stop there and turn it back over to you guys to get into some of the meat of the conversation.
Oh, that was great. Thank you.
That was a
man.
great. Ooh, yeah. That was a good decision. Yeah.
He was waiting for it. He was ready for the alley-oop.
He's been practicing that one in the mirror.
Yeah, dude, I've been practicing that one for the last 3 years. What are you talking about? At this point, that thing's dialed in.
Sure.
Cool. So now I think it's a good moment to get deep into the economic side of Sage Labs. So Chris, I will start with a question for you, my friend, just so we can get first on the overall what is going to be out there, and then we can get more granular on the details. But do you think you could list to us what economic features are going to be implemented into Sage Labs?
Yeah. So pretty much every single gameplay mechanic in Sage Labs is an economic mechanic as well. So I'm just going to kind of go over what a day in the life of somebody in Sage Labs looks like. They start off at a starbase and they compile their fleet. The fleet's going to be composed of a bunch of different ships. Now, the ships they decide to use are going to determine their success in the economy. For example, if you use a bunch of ships that aren't optimized for mining or aren't optimized for crafting, you're not going to have as good of a result as somebody who's put together a fleet that is optimized for that. So you get your fleet together and you leave the starbase to go explore the galaxy. There are asteroids that are scattered throughout the galaxy that have assets on them. We call them resources, or R20. In this release, they're actually only going to be 9, so we've been calling them R9. So the basic building blocks of the economy, and there are 9 of them. So players are going to go out and they're going to find asteroids. When they travel, they're burning R4, which is actually a crafted asset. We all know about R4, or at least people who are familiar with the Star Atlas ecosystem are familiar with the R4. These are the basic kind of consumed assets in order to get your ship from one place to another or to operate your ship. So right now you could just think of this as fuel. Now one of the R4 happens to be fuel, so that's a little bit confusing. The R4 are food, fuel, toolkits, and ammo. In Sage Labs, only 3 of those are actually going to be used in the economy. Only 3 of those are going to be burned when you're doing stuff in the economy. We're not going to have toolkits in the economy because ships can't be destroyed, ships can't take damage because we don't have the combat loop in Sage Labs. Sage Labs comes from REC, and REC is REC, which stands for resource extraction and crafting. So you're traveling through the galaxy to do this resource extraction and crafting loop, and you're spending R4 in order to do that. So when you're traveling, you're spending fuel. You're going to have some burn rate for fuel on your ship as you travel through the galaxy. The farther away you get from your starting point, the base, the star base, the better materials you're going to find. And you're going to find more plentiful materials as well. But you have to spend fuel to get there. So you got to have fuel in the tank in order to get to a location. Once you're at that location, you start to mine the spot. Now you have a couple of options at most asteroids. You can mine, maybe you'll have two different options of mining. Maybe there's some biomass and some luminite. You have to decide: do I want to start mining biomass, or do I want to start mining luminite? Once you start that mining process, you're going to start burning through ammo and food. Those are the two main R4 assets that are burned for the mining action. Interestingly, these are also some of the assets that are going to be burnt when you're doing combat in another release of Sage. So you're extracting a basic resource from an asteroid with your ship. You're consuming ammo and food at a steady rate, a per second rate. Once you've filled up your cargo space with whatever you're mining, now you could mine a little bit of this, go over to a different asteroid, mine a little bit of that. You don't have to just choose one asset. I mean, and this is one of the very cool high fidelity things about the Sage Labs release that I don't think a lot of people quite realize how big this is in blockchain gaming. You have the ability to interrupt processes, move from one place to another. I mean, you think about some of the more sophisticated, fully on-chain games out there that have an economic loop. There's actually not a lot of choice that you have. You have like 3 choices, and they're all deterministic. In Sage Labs, you have the ability to show up to an asteroid surface, mine some resource, quit mining that resource, move to a different planet, mine a different resource. Once you've done this once you've filled your cargo space with these basic resources, you're going to travel back to the starbase. Now, I believe, and Chip, if he were here, he could correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe there are only 3 starbases, and these are kind of the central space stations for each faction. There might be other minor starbases. I can't quite remember within each faction's territory. But once you go back to the starbase or the CSS, you're going to have the ability to take those resources and transfer them into that specific starbases. Actually, there are multiple starbases per faction. So there's your central space station and the starbases. You're going to have the ability to store those assets on that particular starbase. These are localized instances of storage, which is really, really cool, especially from a blockchain game point of view. When you consider, these aren't all just sitting in these assets aren't transferring to your personal wallet. They belong to the ship until you transfer them to a starbase, and then they belong to the starbase, and so on and so forth. So there's just a real sense of, economic emergence and economic consequences of geography, which is a massive, massive part of economics, is traveling, cost of traveling, storage costs, all sorts of small things that you wouldn't really notice are happening as a game player are happening in this, and it's absolutely massive. So once you get back to the starbase, you're going to now keep in mind you've spent a bunch of fuel, not a bunch, you've spent some fuel to travel to and from the asteroid, you've spent some food and ammo to mine up those materials. Once you get to, and the reason I'm emphasizing those burn rates is because those are the economic loop, right? We have both the production of assets, but we have the consumption of those assets. Once you get back to the starbase, you can take those basic resources that you were gathering from the asteroids, and you can commit a crafting process. Now, the crafting process in Sage is actually pretty robust. And what I mean by that is you take those basic resources from the economy and you start to build more and more complex assets. So let's say you have a bunch of biomass. You can take that and you can you can craft it into food. That's great because it takes food to mine. So I need some food in order to mine. So I'm going to go out, I'm going to get some biomass, I'm going to convert that back into food, and I'm going to have my food, kind of operation finished. I can also take a whole bunch of other building blocks of the economy to create non-R4 assets. So these crafts are things like radiation absorbers, particle accelerators, frameworks, crystal lattice. These are different assets in our economy that you can build from the basic building blocks. And what's really, really cool is we have actually a multi-layered crafting system. So you could take a basic resource and convert it into a crafted asset. And that crafted asset can be used again in another crafting protocol. And this can go on indefinitely. So you could take a basic resource, transform it 40 times, and create a new asset. Now, obviously, in Sage Labs, I think the deepest crafting recipe we have is maybe 3 or 4 steps, meaning, excuse me, meaning you took a basic resource, you converted it into a craft, and you took that craft, converted it into a new craft, and so on. You did that 3 times. I think that's the biggest crafting recipe that we have. But in the future, we have the ability to introduce the crafting of all sorts of interesting and extremely valuable assets. And those crafting recipes are going to have many, many layers that could have 10 steps, for example. Each of these crafting recipes has an associated value to it. A radiation absorber, for example, is much more valuable than a framework. Now, they're also made up of different compositions. So the crafting recipes are made up of, some basic resources and some other crafts. And so there's going to be this massive, massive architecture that people have to solve. And what that is basically the scarcity structure of the economy. It's not sufficient to say that two things are equally scarce just because they show up in the world as much. You could have two resources that show up just as often as one another, and you actually end up with one resource being much more valuable than another because it's more scarce, meaning it has not only rarity in the actual world, it has more use cases in the economy. Oftentimes, this is referred to as the water diamond paradox. Water is extremely plentiful, but it's extremely important. So that's why water is less valuable. Water is extremely important. Diamonds are not important, but the scarcity of diamonds or the rarity of diamonds makes them valuable, and it makes water invaluable. You could have two assets that have the same rarity, but if one is more desirable in the economy, it'll actually be more scarce. It'll have a higher price. So we're going to have this extremely intricate crafting economy, resource production and crafting economy. We are also going to have the marketplace. That's going to probably play the biggest role in this release. In my opinion, that's going to offer the most opportunity for arbitrage, sabotage, and very interesting emergent gameplay. Now, one final mechanism that's going to be in Sage Labs is called survey data units. And these are assets not dissimilar from basic resources. They're required in a couple of specific crafting recipes, and I'll get into those in a little bit. But these SDUs are basically a first come, first served unit. All assets in the economy are not first come, first serve. Anybody can go out and extract resources. First come, first serve assets are reserved for things that gate the economy and kind of constrain the economy in a very desirable way. So what these are is you go out with a fleet and you can scan a space on the map for an SDU. If you find an SDU deposit, which there's a 25, at least right now, there's a 25% chance that you do, so long as that space hasn't already in the last minute been had a SDU found. 25% chance of finding one. And once you find it, you get a linearly increasing quantity of SDUs up to 10 for your fleet size. Okay, so let's say you've got 10 extra smalls, you're going to get 10 SDUs. Let's say you've got one large ship and one capital ship and one commander, you're going to get 10 SDUs. If you have 3 extra smalls, you're going to end up with 6 SDUs. So if we think about the size classes as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 up to commander, you get that value of that ship summed together for all the ships in your fleet with a cap of 10. Okay, so these SDUs are used, and I've kind of maybe dove into our next question. So that's the basic, those are the economic concepts in the game. Those are the economic features in the game. There's a lot of additional stuff at the very end of this production cycle that I'd love to jump into. I think we'll probably talk about in a little bit. But I'll stop my tirade there.
We love it, Chris. Like when someone goes like that, just spilling everything and sharing all the details, you know, we like to let it continue. So thank you for sharing
Good.
everything you shared, man. And I'm sure that people are taking notes because we'll have a couple more conversations just based on what you just shared, Chris. But people are asking what the
Can I
What
jump in?
SDUs are exactly?
Because I can't hold
nice.
back. I can't hold back.
Okay.
Oh my god.
No, I just have
He's-
one thing I want to share, and it was a great explainer, Chris. But on the star bases, I'm not precisely sure where we've landed with these for labs as well, but I know where we were going with them for rec, and uh, maybe I'll just pose it as a question to you. But there are some uh, advantages to operating out of different star bases based on their capabilities. I'm sure you know what I'm alluding to. Do you care to elaborate on that at all?
I believe you might be referring to the fact that some recipes are only available to be crafted at certain star bases of varying levels. Is that what you're talking about?
That's right.
So, in the future in Sage, people are actually going to build star bases. We don't have the star base actual upgrading and crafting process protocol in Sage right now because we don't have combat. And star bases don't make a whole lot of sense without you being able to blow them up. So combat and starbase crafting and upgrading are kind of the next. That's how we're going to That's how we're going to close the entire Star Atlas game economy loop. So, for the time being, starbases of different levels, and you can only craft certain assets at certain starbases of certain levels. So, for example, honestly, that's news to me. I'm excited about that. But yeah, that's I think what Michael was referring to.
Yeah, I so what we had discussed previously with the team, or at least I had discussed previously with the team, is that we are going to pre-populate that star-based distribution across the map so that they would just have fixed tiers associated with them. Again, not sure if that's a feature being added into Sage Labs, but presumably it's possible. With the intention of incentivizing movement out into deeper regions of space where rarity of resources or types of resources increases, as well as your ability to craft more complex recipes based on access to those star bases. So I'll circle up on that with engineering and just see if it's a feature we're including. But
Absolutely.
I'm super excited about that specific component as well.
So you reminded me, and I know I just tried to conclude our economic features in Sage Labs section, but you reminded me of some economic features that I didn't really get to. So first of all, I haven't gotten to kind of the end game of the economic loop, and I don't plan to get to that until the next section of this conversation because I think there's a lot to unpack there. I don't want to go into it yet, but another economic feature that we do have is Atlas syncs, and I'm very excited about this because it's the first opportunity for us to introduce. There's going to be huge utility for the Atlas currency when Sage comes out, just purely through the exchange and the secondary marketplace exchange of assets from Sage. That's just going to be a huge added boon to Atlas as a currency. Now, additionally, we're going to have crafting fees, which are very small. So don't worry about it. It's not like we're doing anything crazy. These crafting fees are essentially placeholders for what is eventually going to be a DAO and player run economy loop where players are able to charge other players a fee for using facilities. Now, right now, this is a very small nominal fee or a very small percentage fee of each crafting recipe. And that fee goes to all of the I should emphasize the gameplay Atlas fees go to the DAO. Okay, so you're gonna be charged some tiny fee, Atlas fee, for every crafting recipe. You're going to have to commit specific crew to that crafting recipe. And then there's going to be a specific amount of time that recipe is required to take. So we shut down the DAO's main income source through the primary sale, or I guess the fixed primary sale of R4. So what we're doing now is we're reintroducing a revenue stream for the DAO. We're obviously very excited, and I assume most of the community is excited to have the DAO starting to make some more money. The reason Michael's comments reminded me of this is there's also a respawn fee. So if you get stuck in deep space because you're trying to find some valuable assets with no fuel, you have to basically self-destruct. You're going to reset back at the starbase, the closest starbase. Now, you're not going to lose your assets. You're not going to lose your ship. So if you got an air bike and you run out of fuel, but you will lose your cargo. So if you've gotten a bunch of resources and you run out of fuel, you're in deep space. Also deep, another S word. So you're going to have to respawn. You're going to be charged another kind of nominal fixed fee. We want to eventually have this fee, and this fee goes to the DAO. We want to have this fee kind of vary by the actual fleet itself. It costs a lot more to get towed, have your giant commander towed back to a space station than it does to have a small X4 get towed back to the space station, for example. But for now, this is just a small nominal fee, a small flat fee. Okay, so we've got those fees instituted in the economy. We've got the crafting loop. We know what the inputs are there. A really fascinating kind of way that the crafting works is you can. It's a little confusing at first. The way crafting works is you're going to put a bunch of ingredients towards the recipe. Okay, so each recipe requires X, Y, and Z of each input. You have to put denominations of X, Y, and Z in order to get that asset out. Okay, so let's say you commit, 3 recipes worth of inputs to get a crafting recipe out. You're going to get 3 crafting. You're going to get 3 of the crafts out. So a really simple example here is R4. If I put 3 biomass in the crafting protocol, along with 1 crew member, you have to have 1 crew member per craft. There's always 1 crew member per craft. I put 1 crew member in. I put 3 biomass in. I'm going to get, because of the way the crafting recipe works out, I'm going to get 3 food in exchange. Now, for different R4, that input-output is a different ratio. But for food, it's really straightforward. 1 biomass equals 1 food. So I put in 100 biomass. I'm going to get 100 food out. However, each food takes a specific amount of time to craft. So if I put in 100 food, that takes 100 seconds, at least right now at current numbers. And I'm throwing out some numbers. I just want everybody to know these are all subject to change through balancing and testing. And even once the community gets in to actually play Sage Labs, we're going to try and fine tune this economy so that it's fun from a game design perspective, but also sustainable from an economic perspective, right? If food is too cheap or too expensive to make, we're going to adjust that to try and make it right. So don't glue yourselves to these values too much. But, for example, it's going to take you 100 seconds to craft those 100 food. Now, if you commit 100 crew to that process, you're going to craft 100 food in 1 second. So each crew actually divides the amount of time that it takes to craft something down. So if you want to go fast, you're going to need crew. But if you have your crew committed to crafting recipes, you can't have your crew out in space mining. So there's a beautiful, beautiful, the first iteration in the Star Atlas ecosystem, and you can probably tell how excited I am, of specialization, meaning you can't do everything. You can't craft and find SDUs. You can't find SDUs and craft. You can't go out and mine, and you have to make choices. You have to choose what you want to do. And it's, for most people, this is going to involve deciding to find a niche, whether it's crafting, whether it's resource extraction, whatever your niche is. You're going to find the ships that do it the best way, and you're going to do that thing really well. And then you're going to use the secondary marketplace to try to make money. Or who knows, you might end up making money in other ways that we haven't even thought of yet. So anyway, that's what the crafting protocol looks like. It requires crew, it requires assets as inputs, and perhaps I just start getting so excited, so I start moving into different topics. But perhaps this is a good opportunity to move into kind of the end of this production loop. What's at the end? Why am I doing all this? Why am I crafting all these assets? Why am I doing this resource extraction? Other than the fact that it's just fun and there's a market. But what's the goal? And if you guys have anything to say, hosts, just let me know and I'll shut up. But maybe I don't know. Any thoughts?
Yeah, man.
No, man. I think I speak for everyone. Yeah, I think I speak for everyone when I say we're all thoroughly enjoying you just listing everything off. So if you want to go into what the end of it looks like, then go for it, man, and then we can get to the next question after you do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
People are already asking for part 2, Chris, by the way, like next week. So
Well, especially after we launch, we'll probably need a part 2. But all right. So you've done all this stuff, and quite frankly, I'm assuming for 50% of people, this economic loop of production and trying to trade on a marketplace and trying to find your niche is sufficient. But we need a place for all this production to go. Right now, we're making a bunch of assets, and there's nowhere for them to go. In the full game, once we have combat, and we have even more elaborate crafting recipes, and we have destruction, and we have star-based crafting and destruction, this issue is solved, right? You're producing to try to create a large empire in that particular season and dominate your opponents. And your opponents are trying to destroy your stuff. And this is kind of like the perfect economic loop that we want. We don't have the full economic loop yet. So we needed a way to create this economic loop, a sustainable loop, so that there aren't just billions of crafted assets sitting in people's accounts, not doing anything. So we have what's called the redemption process in Sage Labs. The redemption process, from a technical point of view, feels and looks a lot like crafting, but it's distinctly different. So first of all, it's distinctly different for the reason that every single redemption recipe requires an SDU. Now, I had talked about finding SDUs, but I hadn't talked about using SDUs. SDUs are required in some quantity in order to redeem in Sage Labs. Now, what is redeeming? Redeeming is basically, we have I don't want to call it a prize pool, but a loot distribution for Sage Labs. And we've decided to throw $300,000 worth of VWAP into that loot distribution. Now, unlike Escape Velocity, where you flew around and you found random items, in this version, you're going to find the SDUs, which are semi-random, and you're going to use those in massive, I'm talking huge crafting recipes, or at least redemption recipes, that are going to involve all the assets in the economy, all the different crafted assets, some basic resources. You're going to have everything going into these massive redemption recipes. And the redemption recipes result in actual Star Atlas NFTs, things that you know and love, things like CSS land plots, claim stakes, ships. So all of these things that have use cases outside of Sage and in Score, for example, or just have value to our players, you're going to be able to redeem those through the redemption process. Now, a redemption recipe, like I said, it looks like a normal recipe, except the numbers are going to be much bigger. So it might take 6 iron and 4 frameworks to create, a radiation absorber. And I just made those up. That's not what the crafting recipe for a radiation absorber looks like. But it's going to take 10,000 radiation absorbers and 4,200, frameworks. It's just a ridiculous amount to to redeem assets. And you need the SDUs. So the SDUs are a very creative way for the economics team to essentially limit the total quantity of this stuff that it's emitting. We want to reward people for their time in the game, but we don't want to, completely flood our market with valuable NFTs, because that's going to reduce, that's going to increase the supply at zero cost to the players, and it's potentially going to put buy pressure onto the marketplace. So we want to reward players for their time in Sage with the assets that they know and love already, and assets I will mention that can be used in our showroom. So that's a really cool kind of feature. So I've talked about kind of this redemption process. It looks very similar to a crafting recipe, where you have a bunch of inputs that you've crafted, and you have some SDUs, quite a few SDUs, and you're going to craft those assets. Now here's the thing. There's an implied, I don't want to call it a wage, but there's an implied kind of return to time of VWAP. So if you think about the value of a ship and how much you would pay on primary, there's an implied per minute or per second value of your time for crafting NFTs, ships, CSS plots, stuff like this. Another alternative option in the redemption pool is something called golden tickets. And I'm completely destroying our script for this show because this is one of the topics. But a golden ticket is is a very, very cool thing. It makes I don't know how familiar people are with Heist, which is kind of this like monkey, like I don't know, gambling
they are
thing.
familiar. Don't worry.
Oh,
Don't worry. They are
it
familiar.
makes Heist look like child's play. The way a golden ticket works is players can redeem for golden tickets. You can redeem for ships. You can redeem for whatever you have in that redemption pool. But you can also in that redemption pool is a golden ticket. A golden ticket is kind of cool. Its recipe consists of every single crafted asset in the game. So I think there are like 18 of them. So there's a very wide recipe required to create a golden ticket, including SDUs. A golden ticket is essentially a raffle ticket. And that goes towards a raffle that we're going to do every single week. And I know Michael has talked about this in the past, but I'm going to give you guys some of the more nuanced mechanics for how this is going to work. Because he hasn't interrupted me yet, so might as well get as much alpha out as I can before he stops me. So the prize pool or the lottery, that's probably horrible words, and if Dan Park were here, he'd freak out on me. The the loot that we've set aside for each of these weekly drawings for the golden tickets is $150,000 of VWAP of Star Atlas products. You can craft a golden ticket in Sage. How much is the first golden ticket worth when somebody crafts it? Let's assume there's no other golden tickets, and you're able to craft one golden ticket. You're the only person who's got a golden ticket. You're the only one who actually goes into the raffle at the end of the month. Well, your golden ticket is worth $150,000. What about the second one? Well, it's worth $75,000. The third one, the fourth one, and so on. The value of these golden tickets is exceptionally high, especially early on. Now, as people are able to craft more and more of these tickets, the value of the additional ticket, the marginal value of a ticket, is going down. But I can assure you, the value of a golden ticket. So if you put an hour of your time towards golden tickets and an hour of your time towards the like redeemed ships or redeemed CSS plots, etc., you're almost always going to have a higher return in expectation for the golden tickets. Now, why did I say in expectation? Because it's a raffle. So there's a super high payoff, but there's a huge variance. So there's a high expected payoff with a lot of risk or variance involved. So it's like the classic, would you rather have $100 right now or a 1% chance at $1 million? You look at those two things and you say, well, the $100 is worth less in expectation than a 1% chance at $1 million. A 1% chance at $1 million has an expected value of $1,000. Wait, did I do that right? Of $10,000, sorry. And $100 is a tenth of that. But you know that you only have a 1% chance at it. It's a high expected payoff, but it's not very consistent. It's not guaranteed. So players have to make the excruciating decision of going with a risky but super high value route to production to finish off their production loop, or a relatively lower value process to convert for a ship. But that lower value is consistent. It's guaranteed. So do you want $1, 100%, or do you want $1,000 with 1%? That's kind of the very, very cool final, the final gameplay mechanic / economic loop that we've incorporated. And the golden ticket idea, was since Michael can't talk right now, is completely my idea. He had nothing to do with it. So
All right,
I'll
that's
take
enough.
100%. No, it's a fantastic way to finish off this loop, and it really goes to show just how Michael has just this incredible mind to come up with just these really cool, interesting problems for players to solve. And so it's been a lot of fun to build that and to make the numbers. We were going over the final numbers today, and I think both of us got very excited thinking about how difficult this decision is going to be for players.
I do want to jump in. So beautiful description. Definitely gets into the nuance of game theory and in this decision-making tree. I want to mention a couple of things because I saw a few questions coming through. So just to be clear, this is intended to run over a multi-week period. As it stands today, we have this allocated out over 8 weeks, and each week is $150,000. So it's $1.2 million total in VWAP of assets that would go out over 8 weeks. Your golden ticket is only redeemable in the week that you submit your ticket, but it is your option. You don't, just because you craft it in a week doesn't mean you have to enter it into the drawing for that week. So you can save up, you can you can wait for a time where maybe there's less tickets that are included in the raffle, increasing your probability of getting selected. This is not a single item per raffle. We will have a sizable loot pool that will consist of capital ships, periodically a commander ship, and then a bunch of assets that are lower VWAP. And so I don't know where we're going to land specifically on the numbers, and it will change week to week. But you could see 100 of these golden tickets getting selected in any given week. And that might mean that you win an air bike, or it might mean that you win the commander ship. Two other points here is one, the golden tickets are also going to be tradable on the marketplace. So your strategy could just be to craft golden tickets and sell those to other players who want to participate in these raffles. And then the third thing here, this is a little bit of a shill off of the econ topic, but we've talked a bit about the StarPath V2 with the BuddyLink integration. This is the referral system coming back online. I'm also extremely excited about the prospects of this. There's really 3 components to it. I'm going to be very brief here, just given it's off topic, but the referral system is Web3 based now, and the way it's working is any referral that you make that makes a purchase on the marketplace, and this could be between primary or secondary market, you will get 25% of the value of that transaction that flows into Automata. Now, on primary markets, simple math, let's say you refer someone, they make a purchase of a $10,000 ship, you get 25% of that, you get $2,500. If they make a purchase on secondary, where we're allocating the fee is from the actual royalty fee that's paid on that transaction, because that's the only value that we as a company are capturing. So you would get 25% of our 4% fee, or if that's discounted back based on somebody's Atlas Locker participation on the DAO site on Govern, then you would get 25% of whatever the net is. And there's the third component of this is that golden tickets are going to be distributed for participation in the referral system as well. And so for every $500 that one of your referees transacts on the marketplace, you'll be awarded with 1 golden ticket as well. So there's another option to participate in that raffle system. So I took that a bit off the rails, wanted to make sure I kind of enforce the significance of the referral system. It's planning on coming online at the same time as Sage Labs, so great time to get out there and start communicating to people about what Star Atlas is and how to get involved.
Yeah, that is also going to be massive for sure. And I saw in the chat a couple of people asking about the silly code, and yes, we do have a silly code for today for Never Alone. So the code is 25426. As you know, we have a lot of imagination for coming up with silly codes here. So our code for today is 25426 altogether. And let me link actually real quick to the Never Alone quest so you guys can get the XP for it. It's going to be open for an extra 23 hours from now, but make sure to go and claim your XP right now so you don't miss out. But yeah, we're coming closer to the hour, Chris. I'm not sure if you want to do a little bit of Q&A before we break.
Yeah, let's do that. I think actually somebody asked a good question in the chat, and I'll start off the Q&A with the answer. So the question was, oh God, let me find it. Can one ticket win multiple times? So one golden ticket, can it win the raffle multiple times in the same raffle? The answer to this is, can one single ticket win multiple times? No. So when I was giving that one example of 1, 2, 3, 4, that was obviously simplified, but we are still hashing out the very excruciating details for this raffle. We have a dichotomy, or we have like two different objectives that we want to optimize. Okay, the first one is the fact that we want people who put a lot of effort in and have a lot of tickets to not lose their chance at the larger, more exciting loot in this lottery. What I mean by that is, let's say we started at the beginning for the drawing. Let's say we started with the least valuable asset and we worked our way up. And let's also say that we said, okay, if you get drawn, you can't get drawn again. Well, that sucks, because as the biggest contributor of golden tickets, you actually have the highest chance of getting the shittiest prize and the lowest chance and a lower chance of getting a good prize, which is kind of counterintuitive. Now, on the other side of that, the other objective that we want to kind of balance here is the fact that the little person needs some chance, right? If there's absolutely, if we don't take someone's chances of winning out, or at least hinder them somewhat after they've won, then this gives the little guys almost no chance of ever seeing any sort of winning. Now, that's not like entirely problematic, right? Like, the people who have contributed to the economy the most should probably have a better chance at winning. But if there's a person who has let's say 75% dominance of the golden tickets, then there's almost there's virtually no chance that somebody else who has a 0.0001% dominance to win. So we're kind of trying to balance this issue of like giving the small guy at least a sense of hey, I could win even with this one ticket. Now, that's true if we don't do anything at all. That's still true. There's still a chance that a small guy could win, while also giving the big guy an incentive to stick around, right? Like, if I know that I'm just going to win an air bike and then be taken out of the drawing, that is no good. So it's kind of an interesting mechanic that we need to play with. There's a solution here, and I'm pretty confident that we'll find it. But yeah, that's where our line of thinking is right now.
Also, just worth noting, though, that any tickets that you do submit for the weekly drawing will be burned at the end of that drawing. You do not get them refunded to you for future drawings. So you have the choice of when you submit that ticket. If it's not selected, it is gone, and you would just need to craft more for subsequent weeks.
Yeah, that's a great point, and that's why I love this mechanic so much. It really takes like the culmination of the production economy, and it gives people a very, very exciting kind of like bombastic conclusion, and then everything gets deleted. It's like a perfect reset. So I'm really, really excited to see how people interact with this mechanic and see what the decisions they make are around, do I build a golden ticket, or do I redeem a golden ticket, or do I redeem another asset?
I just want to let the record show that we had multiple questions today, and we got through one with Chris. So I guess that's just how rich the economy is.
No, I told you guys. I said, fair warning, I might answer all 5 questions after question 1 is asked. So
no, that's fair, man. I'm just saying the economy's rich, man, and I think we're definitely gonna need a part 2, maybe even a part 3, man. Like, people love you. You have the information. We got to make it happen.
yeah,
Chris,
Yeah,
you
we
have
didn't.
time for a few more questions, maybe?
Yeah, I'd love to answer a few more questions.
So I use my privilege as a host to ask one of mine. So one thing that I was thinking about the future is that those components that we are talking about like the radiation particles and things like that, they will be usable in the future gameplay loops of Sage. Is that correct?
All of the things that you're crafting, like the crafted components, a part of
Yeah.
crafting recipes. Yeah, those are all persistent assets, and that's why we needed some sort of end to the production loop, right? We didn't want to start the Sage, like Starbase crafting economy and the combat economy with like a billion units of I don't know, frameworks outstanding, because that would just kind of cause some issues with the transition from the pure kind of production side to the actual consumption side. So yeah, we have some consumption in Sage Labs. We have actually quite a bit of consumption in terms of R4 and in terms of Atlas. But we don't actually have a ton of those resources, or those crafted assets have no place to go. So that's how we kind of ameliorate that concern, is we implement this redemption process. That was the answer.
Yeah, but you would say that's a fair strategy for a guild, for example, if they want to hoard those assets for
Oh,
a future
100%.
stage, right?
So, I mean, this gets into one of the big points that I wanted to talk about today, and I think we'll probably just have to put it on a different brew, is emergent gameplay. I think half the people who are here probably have heard of EVE Online, if not more. And I think one of the big things about EVE Online that everybody loves is emergent gameplay. The entire story of EVE, all the lore, was basically created by their players. Like some of the greatest heists and robberies and treacheries in EVE Online happened just because players were doing crazy stuff. And I fully anticipate that new careers and new gameplay loops or economy loops will emerge from the release of labs that we did not plan. And I won't go into what I think those could be, but we'll find out soon enough.
Hey, I just want to get back to golden tickets real quick. Not to diminish your question, Jose. It was a good question, man.
No problem.
Just Chris, there's like one piece of alpha that I think might be fun to share right now, just so people get a sense of the maximum potential based on the simulations of golden ticket crafting. I'll let you share the precise number that we ran through this morning. But do you want to just share with people how many we anticipate being possible to be crafted on a weekly basis?
Yes. If I didn't have so much sensitive information on my screen, I would share the actual raw code, but that would be too dangerous. So basically, the raw output. So we have, I've been doing a lot of simulations and estimation for what the Sage economy will look like, given what we saw in escape velocity and the composition of fleets and score. So I've combined data from score and data from escape velocity to run a simulation about what Sage Labs is going to look like. And I could talk literally for 5 hours on what I just said, but that all said, I anticipate from these results, I anticipate the maximum production of golden tickets on a daily basis to be probably around 13,000 tickets. Now, if you know the value of the prize, the value of the loot pool for golden tickets, and you know kind of roughly how many days it runs for, 7 days, and you know kind of roughly how many tickets can be crafted, you can do some work, some very easy work to figure out how many tickets what is the value of a ticket for however many tickets are in the pool. So what's the additional value of me producing a ticket conditional on X number of tickets being out there? And there's some smart people in our community, so I'm not going to say much more than that. They can figure it out. But note that from my kind of cursory simulations, and all these numbers are subject to change, but we really like this number, 13,000 golden tickets per day at kind of a maximum. That's like what I anticipate the maxed out production to look like. Because remember, for every golden ticket you produce, you didn't produce R4 and you didn't produce anything else. So there's huge consequences and trade-offs to be had. So you need to make a decision. Do I want to create this golden ticket, or do I want to create a thimble air bike? Obviously, it's not one-to-one, but that's kind of the question that players have to ask themselves.
And also, I think worth emphasizing here that the maximum production rate assumes that every other resource component recipe is sacrificed. So that means nobody's producing R4, nobody's using components in any other formula, nobody's using these components for the fixed redemptions. That's if everyone is all in on producing golden tickets, that's a maximum, right?
Yeah, pretty much. And there are some other assumptions. It's a little bit more nuanced than that, but I think that that's a fair number to share with the community. You could go bigger than that, but at this, I really don't think, with a pirate guild out there, I don't think we're gonna see a huge amount of collaboration. I think we're gonna see people hoarding, which is gonna end up making the value of all of the crafted assets just go up higher and higher. So it's going to be very interesting to see how things hash out, or how they shake out. But yeah, I know we're way over. I don't know if you guys have anything else. If we want to cover one more question, or if we want to just call it there.
Yeah, I saw one question that Puck had. He asked if the resources are sellable on the market.
Yes, everything in Sage will be a marketplace asset. That's one of the big points I have on my little notepad here is marketplace. Every single raw resource, the R9, and every single crafted asset, in addition to, of course, golden tickets and all the redeemable assets, are purchasable and sellable on the marketplace. So I anticipate a massive market to kind of emerge from this. If we think about what's going on with R4, and kind of what the market looks like for R4, just multiply that by 10, or maybe multiply it by 2. But it's going to be a huge market that opens up.
I just want
Great.
to caveat that and just say that you will have to extract those items from the game, though, which means you need to pull them out of Sage Labs. You need to get them back to a central space station, withdraw those items, and then they'd be tradable. There is no marketplace integration into Labs. So the only way they become available in a wallet where they're tradable is withdrawing them from Labs. So again, a lot of movement. You're going to be burning resources, and you have to make the decision, when do I want to extract these? Because if you're traveling all the way back to a CSS, you want to make sure it's worth your time. I think I'm obviously super excited about the golden tickets too. There's one more piece that I think you should share today, Chris, and then I'll probably cut it off from my side. But the the estimated time to produce or craft one of these tickets.
Yeah. So this is. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, if you're comfortable sharing the numbers right now.
Yeah, I mean, so I've already given the caveat. All this is subject to change. So I'm comfortable saying some numbers. The way that any game economy is balanced is to a specific player profile. So let's say you're building an RPG, we're building a space-themed MMORPG. Let's say you're building a medieval-themed RPG. Take Elden Ring, for example. Every single level, the progression that you get in that level, how much XP you get from an enemy, how much loot you find, the value of the loot you find, is all balanced to a person of that level. So let's say you're talking about level 1 in an RPG. You want to make sure that level 1 is balanced to a level 1 character. You don't want to balance level 1 to a level 100 character. This is one of the reasons, for example, Diablo 4, well, just Diablo in general, scales the player to their environment. It's a really easy way to get over this problem of balance. You basically just say, we're not going to worry about having different zones that are for different character levels. We're just going to scale the whole freaking game up with the player level. It's really straightforward. It adds a huge amount of kind of comfort to the economy, but it also potentially takes away from the economy because you never really feel like you're making tons of progress. Okay, why am I going off on this tangent about balance? The Star Atlas economy is, this Sage Labs is going to be kind of the fledgling economy. We've only got 9 basic resources. We've got, I think, 18 crafted assets, and we've got these redeemed things. So there's going to be probably in the end, 10 years in the future, there's going to be dozens and dozens of basic resources, hundreds and hundreds of crafted assets, tons of different gameplay mechanics. There's going to be a bunch of different stuff. So what have we done with our assumption about balance? How do we decide what does a person look like when we're balancing this economy? For example, if one player who's really low level gets 10 coins per kill, and somebody who's really high level gets 100 coins per kill, and you can really quickly do an analogy, with our ships when we're talking about this. How do we balance the economy so that both players are having fun? So what we've come up with is what I call the median fleet. So we've literally calculated what the median fleet looks like in Star Atlas ecosystem, and we have balanced the economy, at least the initial economy, to that median fleet. So this way, somebody with a smaller fleet is going to still have fun, and somebody with a bigger fleet is going to have a lot of fun. So we wanted to make sure that the game is still fun for the small person. Somebody asked if I could share the fleet. I don't think I will. It's probably just not worth it. I think that it just kind of exposes me to a whole bunch of risk. But I have this median fleet in mind that I've essentially balanced the entire economy to. So I've completely forgotten what the question was. Oh, golden tickets. Okay. So all that to say, this introduction, all that to say, a golden ticket for this median-sized fleet should take about an hour to produce. In terms of the production, the stuff that they need to create, the stuff they need to get together in the crafting process. Now, I should caveat that with that is the production, that is purely the extraction side. Crafting recipes, remember, they take time. So unless you've got a shit ton of crew to commit to your crafting recipes, the crafting recipe is a whole different beast. The crafting recipes are kind of a fixed time constraint that everybody faces. So you're going to have to commit more crew in order to cut that crafting recipe down. But in terms of sending your fleet out into space and mining the materials to be able to craft a golden ticket, to be able to redeem a golden ticket, you're going to need to you're going to need about an hour. So I would say roughly it's more like 2 hours per ticket. People with huge fleets are going to be able to make more. People with small fleets are going to be able to make fewer or less than that. So yeah, that's the rough estimate. It's super rough, and once we start to see actual data flow in from Sage Labs, we can adjust any of these recipes, any of these data that we think would make the game more enjoyable and more economically sustainable.
You just
Going rogue
reminded me.
here. I just want to ask one quick question about the golden tickets while we're still talking about it. Chris, we've seen a couple questions in the chat about just kind of like wanting to know more information about the different golden ticket reward weeks before they actually happen. For example, will people know what loot is going to be given before they allocate their tickets? And then the second part of that would be, will they know how many other tickets have been put into that week's raffle so they can make like educated decisions or better decisions going into it?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think in terms of when we communicate the actual pool itself, I would off the cuff, I would say probably yes. We will communicate that as soon as possible so that people can make their decisions appropriately. Now, obviously, Michael might have something to say about that. But real quick, I wanted to address the second part of that question. Will people know? There's a very interesting awkwardness to displaying golden ticket quantities. I think we will. Ultimately, I think it would be probably best to display it. But you have the ability to withhold, let's say you're a guild that has like 20,000 tickets. You have the ability to withhold those until the very last second. So I don't know what the game theory is going to look like for that, but I anticipate many people will withhold their tickets because when you put a ticket into the pool, you're revealing information to your opponent about the value of that pool. And so it behooves you to actually hold on to your tickets. So it's kind of a very complex game theoretic problem. And I'm really curious to see how that plays out.
Yeah, I mean, my feedback is I'd like both to be visible, with the understanding that we're still working through the exact system of execution for these drawings, so can't offer any guarantees on how it's going to work until we get to that point. But Chris, you reminded me of one more thing that I did want to communicate, just because you were talking about game balance, and one of the compromises that we made going into Sage Labs was that we're not introducing the council rank system, which is a future system that requires you to level up and progress your character so that you can then bring more assets into the game. And in fact, it would prohibit people from bringing in the largest ships on day one, because you have to get your account leveled up or progressed to a point where you're qualified to be a captain or a pilot of one of those capital ships. that speaks directly to this SDU mechanic, the survey data unit mechanic, which is kind of a continuation of escape velocity scan and discover. So this I would categorize this as pretty heavy in the alpha department as well, but the reason we wanted to bring the SDUs into the game is it actually provides a pretty valuable opportunity for people with smaller fleets. And Chris, maybe I'll turn it over to you to elaborate on all of this, but simply put, somebody with a massive fleet is obviously going to outperform somebody with a small fleet. Now, if you have a large fleet, it is most likely in your interest to be leveraging that to extract resources and then craft with those resources. Whereas somebody with a couple of X4s is never going to be able to produce at the scale that you are. However, for them, it probably makes a lot of sense to spend their time going out and scanning and discovering these SDUs because they're required in a lot of the formulas, in a lot of the recipes. And so it's a way for us to create value for people that have small fleets, medium fleets, and large fleets.
Yeah, I mean, you pretty much said it all there, Michael. One tiny bit of, I guess, more alpha. We have a couple of levers associated with SDUs. One of them is that timer that I had kind of talked about. Like if an SDU has been discovered in this location within X amount of time, you cannot discover an SDU there. And that amount of time right now is set to 2 minutes. Now, the other levers are a fixed quantity of SDUs can be spawned every specific time period. I won't share the time period and I won't share the quantity, but we had the same exact logic in place for escape velocity. Now, we didn't end up, this was never really a threat for us in escape velocity. We had a hard cap and we never reached it. We never even came close. So that hard cap is a way for us to essentially control how much of these things are actually being emitted into the ecosystem. SDUs are going to be extremely valuable because they're used in the entire redemption process, and they're kind of they're ubiquitous. They're in every single redemption recipe, whereas most redemption recipes differ. So, like the redemption recipe for an X4 is completely different than the redemption recipe for a MUD CSS Tier 1, for example. So that's why SDUs, I think, are going to be very valuable. They're also going to be limited in quantity because of this kind of gating mechanism. And it'll be really interesting to see how we end up pushing up against those hard caps.
Chris, let me piggyback on the SDU discussion. This is also something to incentivize people to explore the Sage Labs galaxy, right? How big is Sage Labs compared to EV, for example? Like, how long would it take, more or less, for someone to traverse the whole galaxy? You know how many systems there will be, something like this, that you could share with us today?
That is a really good question. So in terms of the size, in terms of the actual number of units, number of locations you could be, this is the same as escape velocity. The number of systems and the number of locations where you can mine, it's far lower than the number of spaces. So there's not going to be a mining spot in every single space on the map. You're going to have to traverse multiple spaces to get to those spots. So in terms of the timing, I believe we have a similar timing as escape velocity, but labs is much more complex than escape velocity. In escape velocity, we needed the game to be fun. We needed it to be satisfying to travel, scan, find a loot, move on to the next thing. In labs, people are going to be having, I assume people are going to have multiple, operations going on. They're going to be, somebody's going to be doing a crafting protocol at a starbase, and they're also going to be flying around with their ship. There's going to be a lot to do. So there is a this timing thing is definitely highly subject to change. But I think for the time being, it's the same as it was in escape velocity, and there are the same number of spaces. Just a completely, totally different number of actual locations where you can mine, for example, and far even fewer star bases.
Awesome.
I see a
Jose.
question. I think it's. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask Jose if he can drop a couple names of the star bases or planets.
Man.
Yeah, I was going to say Jose probably knows better than I do.
Yeah, man, there will be lots of I guess, well, I'll talk about the star sectors, which are, I think it's more important for Sage Labs at this moment. We have 51 different systems, and every single one of them will have their own story and lore. So if you are someone that enjoys the Staratus lore, you can also learn a lot about our universe from just traveling across the galaxy and learning about all the systems. And maybe you are one data runner that's just looking for SDUs, so yeah, that's also a viable gameplay path, in my opinion. Right, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, I think especially for people with, we don't know what the actual like market prices are gonna shake out to be, but if I had to just take a wild guess, I would guess that SDUs are going to be pretty valuable on the secondary, because it's not necessarily super fun for somebody with a huge rig. Like if I've got an Armstrong tap, like I don't want to use that to find SDUs. Trust me, I do not want to use that to find SDUs. I want to use that thing to do what it was designed for, extracting resources. So, I think that it's going to be probably I would assume it's going to be a smaller kind of subset of players who decide to take on the data running or the SDU finding career. And I don't know. I think that for those smaller fleets, it could be more worthwhile to go extract SDUs, find SDUs, than it is to actually extract resources. We'll see how the market shakes out, though.
Man, this opens up so much, so many options and so many trade-offs in game theory.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
super excited, guys. That's why I have been hyping everyone every day on the chat on Discord. Now you know everything.
I don't think we know everything, right, Chris?
Need
Probably
No.
we're
part
missing a
2,
lot.
3, 4, and 5.
No,
You guys
we
can look forward to
definitely don't know everything, and we're like 30 minutes over. So
Yeah.
I want to keep talking, but people have
Let's
lives.
get you on a part 2, Chris. I
All
think
right.
it's a good moment to stop here, and we'll get you on a part 2. If you're
Yeah,
cool with
let's do it. Sweet.
That's awesome. That's
I
awesome.
might join
So
that
yeah,
one
guys.
too. I don't know. We'll see.
Jesus.
We
Yeah.
just
All right.
invited Chris. We just
Yeah, man,
invited
you were not
Chris.
Yeah,
We'll
what
plan
are
it in
you talking
secret.
about, man?
Yeah.
Oh, I see I'm not welcome
man.
here.
We love you, man.
F in the chat if you don't want me on the next brew community.
You're like a parent. It's like the second the parent is invited to the cool, like, I don't know, skate park. Okay, I'm hitting that part of the day when my my
Analogies.
analogies just go
Well,
absolutely.
the cheese, the
Any-
rat and cheese. Woo!
Anyway, no, you're welcome to come, Michael.
Oh, dude, can I just add one more thing? Just because
Oh
Brian,
my god!
Jesus Christ.
this is too
Screw
much
it.
fun.
Yeah.
No, because he asked about who's paying the transaction costs, and I just think it's another opportunity to talk about the Atlas fee payer that's being integrated for labs as well. So Atlas fee payer is an opt-in, opt-out feature that allows you to pay all of your Solana transaction costs using Atlas only. What happens is we are a proxy service in between. You're technically paying us a certain amount of Atlas for that transaction. We pay the Solana transaction fee on your behalf, but that means that now all of your earnings from the game, whenever you're earning Atlas, can be used to cover all of your Solana transaction costs. So I think that's super cool coming online too.
So you don't need Soul anymore to interact with Star Atlas.
Yeah, I mean that's not entirely true because we still have a bunch of other systems online like the DAO governed sites, portal, the marketplace, faction fleet, faction claims. Those are not all integrated with this Atlas fee payer yet, and so you would need Sol for those transaction costs for now. But we are going to be working on integrating Atlas fee payer into every system in our ecosystem through time. But for right now, within Sage Labs, this is what that feature is rolling out for. So again, I think super cool that you're just going to be able to earn Atlas and spend Atlas for transaction fees and everything else in the ecosystem.
Massive.
Insane.
Massive.
I also just want to seriously, Chris, thank you so much for being 30 minutes over. Can we please, guys, give a W to Chris. Give a W to Chris.
Yes.
He's been spending an hour and a half with us today, just going over alpha for Sage Labs. It's going to be a really good time. We're going to get him for part 2, 3, 4, and 5 in the coming weeks. So he's committing a lot of time to this. So yeah, W's to Chris. Love you, man. Appreciate you coming.
Awesome. It's always a pleasure. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, no, thank you, man, and hopefully we'll get you on the next one. And also, guys, make sure that you go to the top of the server and you mark us interested in the Atlas Brew 75. It's TBD, but hopefully we can make it part 2 for the Sage Labs econ. So
Yeah.
why not?
JK. Just wanted a little cliffhanger here for the
There's
next
no
one,
way
guys.
you do that.
Don't
Like,
play.
there's
Don't
no
play
way.
with that. Yeah,
Don't
hearts.
play with our feelings. Don't play with our feelings, man. But yeah, cool, guys. So we went 30 minutes over. Wow. And again, thank you, Chris. Thank you, Michael. And thank you, Jose and Dom, as always. And to the whole community, thank you for joining. And we will see you on the next brew. Remember that we have a Sealy code for this one, which is 25426. You can go to Never Alone now and claim your XP. It's only available for 1 day, so make sure to go there, guys. Make sure to go there. But other than that, I think we can close here. And again, thank you everyone for joining, and we'll see you next Wednesday at the same time as always. Ciao, ciao.
Bye, guys.
I guess.